Hey everybody, it's My Healthier Me. We bought some worms. We're making a worm bin, like vermiculture, compost, worm casting, worm bin. So have a look at what you need to make a worm bin. The first thing we bought was I don't know how many liters this is, but it's the taller of the two of these Rubbermaid bins, and then I've got a smaller one and a larger one. Okay, now you can actually buy a worm bin already put together, so I'm going to post some links on here where you can buy some worm bins that are already pre-made and you don't have to do the bins. But if you want to do it yourself, it's way cheaper. Worm bins are $100 or more, and these bins were like how much were they? $5?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
They were $5 or $6 each, and I mean, compared to $100, you need to do a few things yourself to make it work, but it's cheaper. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the bin of the lid of the smaller bin, and I'm going to put that aside. And for color, because I have two colors, I've decided not to use that lid. So I don't need this lid. Keep it, because you might use it in the future. And then what I've done is the bin of this lid, the lid of this bin, I'm going to use that on top of here. So you see what it's going to look like later? And I'm placing the smaller bin inside the larger bin. Okay? The reason is this is our reservoir. This is going to collect all of the water that drips in. This is going to collect all the water that drips in. It's called worm tea. And it's going to drip through these holes that I've made in the smaller bin, as you can see. Okay? And you just want to place those, they need to be about 1/8 of an inch, or what was the larger hole? 1/8 of an inch, or was it 3/4? 1/4 of an inch? They're 1/8 of an inch to about 1/4 of an inch hole. And you just drill them in order to allow the water to drip out. So these bins have a dip and a peak and a valley. So you want to put the holes in the valleys, not the peaks, because the water's going to collect there, right? Then you'll notice there's one section in the middle that I didn't put any holes in, and the reason for that is that this bin, if you look, will sink down in there. And then my holes disappear when this is going to get heavy, right? So I've created out of some Teflex juice containers. You want to use a jar or a can, whatever, as long as it's okay to get full of worm tea, which is dirty. So I'm going to place this right in the middle. That's just going to allow it to not push down inside the bin. Okay, so it's just going to allow it to do a hold-up job. And I've put it exactly here where the water's not even going to be dripping down. Okay, and then I put some holes along the side. And that's it for holes. So along the bottom and along the sides. Then I've put holes in the lid. Now that's for aeration, so that it doesn't get stinky. Now if you don't put holes, it will get stinky. If you do put holes, it will not be stinky. You can put it right in your kitchen, and it shouldn't attract flies or should be smelly at all. Okay, so that's your bin, and that's how you make the bin. And that's it. You're done. In the future, you're going to need to add a second bin on top. We'll do a video for that. And that's when this one gets full and there's worm castings and you want to harvest them and use them for your plant. Okay, so now let's put it together. What else do you need? You need this bin, which is all prepared and ready to go. You need some kind of newspaper with no colored dyes, or some sort of cardboard or toilet paper rolls, things like that. Anything without dye. And you want to shred it up into little pieces or cut it up into little squares or pieces. You'll also need a little bit of soil. It doesn't really matter what kind of soil. You're only going to need about a handful. I have more than necessary here. It's just to help the worms digest. They need that gravel and sand inside them to digest. So you just need a little bit, about a handful or two, maybe a half of this. We'll see what happens. Then you're going to need some water, preferably in a spray bottle, to wet down the newspaper. It needs to be damp, not soaked. You don't want it to be dripping with water right when you first make it. That should happen later as your food starts to decay. So what we have here is a whole bunch of food scraps that we've been collecting over the last 2 days. Avocado peel pits, potato peels, rotting tomatoes, little pieces, apple cores, pieces of banana peels, anything that you, you know, when you're making a salad that you cut off where it's going bad. I think we have a molding orange, an orange that was molding in here as well. And just a note on, what's that, we have time?
No, we took it out.
Oh, we took the orange out?
Yeah.
Okay, we took the orange out. But just to let you know, citrus peels, orange peels, any kind of citrus fruit, grapefruit, limes, lemons, don't put lots of those in your worm bin. The worms don't really like them that much, but you can put some. Coffee grinds can go in there. Don't put a lot of, what's that other thing that they don't like? Citrus, and I'll post it in the video and I'll remember it later. And don't put any meat. If you have some organic meat, you can put just a little bit in there, but it'll take a really long time for them to eat it up and it'll start to smell. So don't put meat in there, don't put dairy, don't put cheese. You can put oily things in, like if you made a salad and there's a little bit of olive oil or some sort of oil on the salad, that's okay. But don't put oil in there. Like, you know, put avocado, if it's brown avocado or from a salad, that's okay to put in there. And I'll put another little list in the video. I'll put some words up here to tell you what you can and can't put in there. And we're going to have future videos as we do this, as we get our worms, because you can see we don't have worms yet. As we get those, when we put them in, we'll do videos. When we harvest these castings, when we put a new bin on top, I'll do some videos. So look for videos later. So let's do this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a whole bunch of... Okay, we'll get you some more in just a minute, okay? We're doing a video right now. Can you go back in the living room for a minute? Okay, so I'm going to put a whole bunch of newspaper in here, and I'm going to wet it down. And I just want to get it damp. Okay, so just turn it, lift it, and don't get it soaking wet. You want to come closer here, love? You can just see. I'm just getting it so it starts to get a little wilted, like lettuce gets when it gets no water in it. So I'm not getting it so it's all wet inside the bin and drippy or anything, you know. And I'm not getting them so they're so soaked. If you don't have a spray bottle, just sprinkle it on and then stir it like a salad until you get a nice... There, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
See how it sort of just wilted? Okay? And then I'm just going to toss in a handful, 2 handfuls. So see, I didn't even use very much. But I'm going to put just a little bit more later. And I'm just going to wet that soil because it's pretty dry. Now that gives them a bed. That's called your bedding. Now you're going to want to add... I'm just going to get a fork. Do we have enough time?
Yeah.
Later on... 1 minute? Ooh, we're going to have to do this quick. Later on when you're adding food, I'll do a video for that. When we add the worms, I'll tell you more about the food part. But I'm just going to put some food in and I'm going to disperse it. I'm going to add some more bedding on top of that. Okay? And then I'm going to spray the bedding again. I'm going to put some more soil in. So I'm doing everything I just did twice. So 2 layers of wet bedding, 2 layers of a little bit of soil, spray it down, and 2 layers of food scraps. Then I'm going to put this on top, and I'm going to wet it with the spray bottle. Okay, and I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to let that sit for 1 week, and then I'm going to add the worms. Okay, so that's how it works. And you can put it, again, you can put it in your kitchen, and I don't know what else to say, but we'll have other videos about the worm bin. So this is a worm bin. If you want to put all of your scraps, your food scraps, in here instead of in the garbage, and you'll get worm castings, and your plants love it. We'll talk more about that when we do the harvesting of the castings. Peace and love.